What's going on, guys? HitPause here with a work through on Substance Painter and using Substance Designer in combination to create some maps, and we're going to try to paint this model here. Now, one thing I want to note about this model is, number one, I've already baked normals, and number two, I baked it in basically 5 different ways. This one actually can be, I don't know how you get rid of a texture. Delete on that? No. But I've got one that came out of 3D Studio. I've got one that came out of this one was XNormal, one that came out of Mudbox, and then I've also got a world space normal map that came out of Mudbox, and they all have problems and they all have nice features to them. Some required me to kit bash the model, meaning I had to break everything apart. Others, the only one that didn't was actually this one here. So if I look at this particular one, which is the U1V1 here, you can see that it did very well in some parts, such as right here, but it didn't do so well in other parts, such as right here. However, if I use the one that came out of XNormal, this one seems overall to be kind of just bubbly, but I like it in some things. I like it on the grip for the most part. I kind of like it on the rear hammer. Okay, the one that came out of 3D Studio Max is this one here. This one is the one I like the most overall, because this one seemed to capture most of the really smooth transitions in these areas here, but it also created some other stuff where it missed a few things here and there, where the projection cage didn't exactly push itself out in a good area, so we got some issues here. We've got a starring pattern here, which I don't like, but overall everywhere else it did a pretty fundamentally clean job here. Like right here, you can see that this is nice and flowy. If I use the one that came out of Mudbox, that's very sharp and, you know, kind of pixely. So the idea, the plan in the end, and I don't think I'm going to actually show you guys me doing this part, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to apply all of these to the model, and I'm going to pick and choose which method came out the best for each piece, and I'm just going to mask them out and create a normal map from that. So like you can see right here, it's bad here, but if I use the one from XNormal, that particular location didn't come out bad. So I'll probably use the XNormal version on this piece of the model here. Okay, it doesn't look great here, so let's see what happens from the Mudbox version. Okay, the Mudbox version probably is actually the one I'll end up using there. Without a blur tool in SubstancePainter, I may or may not do this operation inside of Mudbox. There's 2 reasons for that. Number one, Mudbox actually has a layer for the normal map, whereas SubstancePainter only allows you to apply one normal map to the whole model. It's just difference in methodology there. So I'll probably fix that inside of Mudbox, where I go in and I mask them all out. The problem with Mudbox, though, is it actually kind of displays the normal maps in a relatively dumpy way, but it does let me blur the normal map using a straight up blur tool, as opposed to going into Photoshop. So for now, we're just going to use the 3D Studio version of the normal map, because overall it's the best, even though it has a few glitches here and there. Again, before I actually start developing any of the maps or anything like that, we're going to go ahead and I'll fix that off camera. Now, the first thing that I want to do is I want to generate my bump maps, and which is usually backwards for me. I usually paint the model first and then I generate the bump maps, but in this case, because we do have the ability to have some of these effects go in and auto edge damage for us and stuff like that, which is basically generated directly from the all of the different maps that you get, such as ambient map, curvature map, things like that, but those maps are generated from the original normal map. So we need to get our normal map fixed before we really do anything. Now, that's not stopping me from getting the basic materials down on the model. Now, this is a Beretta 92FS. This pistol is actually sitting right next to me. I have this gun. I am now 40 years old. I had bought this gun the day I turned 21, and have had it ever since. It is in 100% perfect, flawless condition. I have fired it over 10,000 times. It is, in my opinion, the best pistol I have ever personally dealt with. I know there's much better, but the damn thing cost me about $1,000 back in the day. I know they are only like $450 now or something like that, but I absolutely love this weapon. I will always love this weapon. I will be buried with this weapon. Hopefully I won't die with this weapon in my hand. But yeah, I just want to express my love for this particular weapon from Beretta. It is hands down my favorite gun of all time. So there's two versions of it, basically in terms of color. The two general versions. There's kind of a silver one, which is the one that I owned, and then there is the basic gunmetal black one. In Substance Painter, the awesome thing is that it would take about 6 seconds or so to create both versions once you have everything down. So it's kind of a non-issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and I'm going to mask out a couple of different materials based on the gun. Now I'm actually going to take the weapon here, which is in its case and locked. Let's go ahead and unload it, because you're an idiot if you do not keep your gun loaded. Alright, so here is the pistol. Let's make sure it's on a nice cloth on my table. And looking at it, okay, I know I'm not showing you guys this, but looking at it, I can see basically 3 materials on the pistol. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the basic one down. We need a gunmetal. Not metal roll-up, but I'm thinking metal weapon here is pretty good. Actually, I need a fill layer to do this. So we'll pick metal weapon, and what I do want to do is knock out the scratches. Okay, I'm working in 2048 here. I'm not working in super high res. The normal maps are 2048 as well. It's going to be my final resolution. So that is pretty goddamn close to what it is. Now I also have one that's a little less shiny, and it's the base here. So I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to pick the same material. However, on this one, let's see, how many options do I get on this particular material? Basic parameters, luminosity. I don't know, is luminosity having any effect? Okay, what I want to do is I want to make sure that the height is set to normal. So it's a complete replace. Oops. Did I add, I didn't add a fill layer, did I? I always hit this button. I need to add the fill layer. Okay, so we do this one, knock out the scratches. Okay. Now metal roughness, this version is actually a little bit more rough by a very slight amount. Okay. It's also quite a significant amount lighter in the diffuse color. So I'm just going to brighten it up just a little bit. I only want a very, very subtle change between the two, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask them. So I'm going to add a black mask. I'm going to hit the 4 key, which gives me this tool here, which basically allows me to say, hey, by object, which one do I want to be using? So as you can see, we have a lighter metal there. Okay. And that's pretty much exactly what I'm seeing on my table. That is about as spot on as I can make it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that some of these parts are actually a hair bit darker than these. So I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to duplicate it. Okay, and I'm going to stick this on top. And what I'm going to do on this layer is I'm going to darken it just a little bit. About like that. Very, very subtle amount. And I'm going to make it a hair less rough. So it's a little more shiny, because these are, yeah, these are definitely a little bit more shiny. And again, same thing, black mask, and I'm going to hit 4, and I'm going to pick these elements. I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, the trigger is the same. Sometimes you got to click on these things like a few times. Kind of weird. Okay, that one should be gone through. Let me see, what is the top? Honestly, the sides are black. Did I get this guy? Looks like I did. And the barrel. And this pin. The only thing I don't like about this gun is it takes literally 1.5 seconds to, basically if you push this down, this slide will come off. So you've seen Jet Li do it in a movie where he disarmed the guy's gun. Okay, now I want to get the grip. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rename these now. This is going to be slide metal. Okay, this is going to be base metal. Metal, not metal. Metallica, no, metal. And this is going to be the, I don't know what I want to call these. These are all the bits, basically. These are all of the features, I suppose. So we'll just call this the details. Metal. Alright, so those are my 3 metals. Now I'm going to make the plastic grip. So let's come here, we'll do that. And we'll say plastic grip. And there's quite a few that we can use here, actually, to be honest with you. Uniform plastic, uniform rubber, what is that, uniform black dirt. Did I add the wrong layer again? I did. God damn it, I keep doing that. So plastic grip. Okay, let's try uniform rubber. To be honest with you, it is plastic. It is not rubber. So let's go with uniform plastic here. It is definitely not this shiny, so we're going to kick up the roughness quite a bit. Let's obviously turn the color down to black. Okay, and with 0 metallics roughness, I'm actually going to turn that down actually to about there. You can see I got an issue with the normal map right here, but again, if I pick a different normal map, that doesn't happen. So like I said, I'm going to be picking and choosing from that. And now once again, I want to add a black mask, hit 4, and pick the grips, which are mirrored. Okay, so already it's looking fantastic. Sans detail, however, I wouldn't feel too strange about seeing this in a game or in a 3D rendering and saying that it was pretty much done. Aside from the missing bump maps, it's like the materials are awesome. I love Substance Painter. I want to make that clear. I did make a video displaying a bug, and I put in quite a few feature requests. I don't want the developers, if they ever see any of this kind of video, to ever once even let it cross their minds that I don't think that this is the greatest tool I've ever used, besides obviously 3D Studio Max and the tools we use to create the models. This can't exist without that. Now the magazine originally has a black plastic base and a silver lining to it. Basically, the meat of it is silver. One of the feature requests that I've added is the ability to like hide the parts of the mesh without requiring us to have different materials for them, say like the magazine and the pistol. But wouldn't be that hard or difficult or even all that bad for the developers to say, hey, well, why don't you just create a separate material while you're painting? Then you can combine all that stuff later. But what you got to understand is that that is going to make it so that once we're done here, I would have to go in and manually chop up the parts of the mesh that we're on. Because remember, if we do a separate material, the actual pieces of the model are not going to be, it's not going to paint on one texture set, right? It's going to actually paint a separate texture set. That's why, that's the main reason why I am asking for the ability to say, hey, give me a tool up here to select faces and then let me hide parts of the mesh. There's no current way that I know to do that. So I can't really paint the magazine unless I go back to 3D Studio and I move the magazine outside of the weapon, which again is not that difficult, but it does mean that I have to go do that. And if you're working on a really complex model, that could potentially be a pain in the ass. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to attempt to get some of these bumps in here. I feel like the materials themselves are pretty solid. I'm hoping that everything will work out once I get this into UE4, which is where the final destination of this guy is going to go. So let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some stamps and stencils and things to generate this stuff. So what I want to do is I want to select all these layers first, and I'm going to group them. Okay, I'm going to add a folder, and I'm going to call this base materials. Okay, that way I think I need to add them into it. Now I can collapse that. So I have all my base materials. Now I can create some more layers. So this first layer is going to go above here, is going to be called the grip bump. And what I'm going to do is, while I'm turning my camera, I hold shift, it will snap it. Okay, will snap to like a nice alignment for me. It's been a moment since I've used my pen tablet, so I have to reactivate that. And what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the projection brush. Now, when the projection brush comes in, basically you can tell it, hey, you know, you can project all these different things. What I'm going to project is just the height map, and what you have to do is you have to drag whatever you want into that image right there, and then you can see that now I basically have the same controls that you would expect from like ZBrush or Mudbox. I can rotate it, and if I hold shift it will snap it, okay, like that. So I kind of want this to be at a 45-degree angle, because it is in fact at a 45-degree angle on my model. And I want to make it a hair bit smaller, a little bit finer, like so. Now I'm going to edit my brush, and I want my brush hardness to be pretty much maxed. I definitely want some pen pressure on my sides. I don't want that big of a brush. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically flood the entire grip here, including surrounding areas. Okay, just going to ensure that I get everywhere, because I want to make sure that that is in fact consistent. Okay, so then I hit 1 here, and you can see that that's flooded only on one side, because the main body of the model, this piece here in the center, this molded piece here, is not in fact actually tiled. So we're going to do the same thing over here with the black mask. We're going to hit 4, and we are going to say, hey. Yeah, see, when I use my pen tablet every once in a while, like if I use my mouse, I can set that nice, but it's almost like the pen tablet creates a humongous circle of grabbage. It's kind of weird. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, now I want to mask this so that it is something that I can use later. Now, this is being kind of pushy on my part, and I understand that, but I think that another tool that would be really awesome here is a lasso select, or the ability to draw paths and create enclosed shapes like a vector shape. Because if I could do that here and not have to take this into Photoshop, I could save a lot of time, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the general loadout of this just by painting it by hand. Now, I do have a lazy mouse. This is new in 1.1, and it's awesome. I want hardness, but I don't want that to be maxed, because I don't want to have like pixelated shit going on here. And what I'm going to do is I am painting in the mask here, and what I want to do is I want to mask out. So I'm just going to come here, and this is just by hand, not using the lazy mouse. Okay, I'm just going to try to control this as best as I can, and I'm going to mask out. You can hear that my new pen tablet's got texture on it, and it's actually kind of obnoxiously loud. About like that. About like that. It does cut off at the bottom very flat here, like so, and then kind of follows this going around like that. Now, so that's a general idea of where I want the grip. Now, I'm not really able to paint this with as much control as I would like, and the kind of control that I would like would be the ability to use you know, Bezier curves to create a shape. That would be my ideal method. So I can go into Photoshop and I can replace this later when I feel like I'm good. Okay, so I feel like right here I need to curve that. I do want it to kind of follow the grip as much as possible so that I don't have any little like half diamonds, or I want exactly half diamonds, basically. Let's just straighten that out just a little bit. I kind of screwed that up. Okay, that feels okay for now. That's pretty close to what I want, except that actually right here it actually has a bit of a curve to the back, so something like that. Another feature that I would really like to see in this program is the ability for me to just hold Alt or Control or something to paint the opposite color, as opposed to having to go here and say, hey, now I want to go with black, now I want to go with white. If I had a hotkey that I could just say, hey, here's black, and they hold Control, now I'm painting white, it would be much faster and feel a lot better. Again, these features are in fact available in Mudbox. Okay, so that's okay for now, I think, for that particular piece of the diamond grip. Now, the other thing that I need is right here on the model. I'll just simulate that. So that's the grip bump. Let's go ahead and make a new layer. Now, these I'm not making. I'm not using materials here. I'm not using substances. I'm using textures. Okay, because that's basically what I want to do. And this is going to be called the slide grip. And just to show you what I'm planning on doing, I'm going to make a pretty small brush. Come here. I only want to paint the height again. Okay, gonna knock that guy all the way down. On the brush, I'm gonna make sure hardness is all the way up, and I'm gonna make sure I have no pressure anywhere, and I'm gonna try the lazy mouse just for shits. But I don't think in the end that I'm actually gonna end up using this. But this is the gist of what I want to do. It's actually a little thick. That's the idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in an image that I hopefully can use for that. So let's go ahead and import an image here. Now you can see I'm already here. These are all my stamps. You can see I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, I've even got a fucking peanut butter stamp. What more could you ask for, right? What I want is basically horizontal lines here. Okay. And I'm going to go to my projection and come here, and in my height I'm going to drag the horizontal lines in, and let's hold S and scale this. Now here's another thing that I'm asking for from the developers. Let me just bring in another image to make this. Let's see this. Actually, I have some numbers and letters here. You can see that what we're seeing, if we go to Photoshop, if I double click that and I hide this layer, you know this, everybody's used to this, right? This is the transparency grid. Okay, it's like it doesn't matter how close I get to it, it's always the same size. I can zoom all the way in or all the way out and it doesn't ever change. It's just an indication of a transparency grid, and we're all used to it. I think it's that medium to light gray over white, right? Well, that's displayed here too, which makes it so that when I'm using a stencil, anything that's white in my stencil, I can't see the shit, you know? I really would much prefer if it was just transparent. This is a PNG, okay? So it's very, very hard to determine what you're seeing. And again, I'm not complaining as much as I'm just kind of hoping to get some help from the developers on just a few minor things. This is very minor. But it would be very difficult for me to go in and create text on a model using this layout of text here, because I'm going to have to guess where the B is on here. Right? Use A, B, C, D. Where's the E? Okay, I mean, I can visualize it. I'm not inept, but it's definitely not going to be something that I can just quickly zip-zap through this whole thing and just say, hey, there it is, there it is, there it is, and just, you know, shift it around, because of the fact that the white parts are completely invisible where the transparency grid is. And this is just straight up PNG with transparency. So I really would like for them to get rid of that transparency display, because here it's almost hard for me to tell what angle are the lines. I know they're going this way, but once I paint, let's just go ahead and do that really quick. Am I on the right tool? Height, lines. Yeah, I am on the right tool. Okay, what angle are those at? Those are actually quite a bit steeper than that. Let me go like that. It's actually a little bit smaller. Now the problem is, the other thing that I kind of wish, and this is, again, I'm just whining, I guess, is that this is white, right? Which is just indicating where the pixels are. However, the unfortunate thing is here in Substance Painter is that what's white is white. My projection brush itself doesn't have a color here. Like, I don't have a color. So I can't take this white lines and make green lines or red lines or blue lines like I could in, like, again, Mudbox, because it's the program I've been using for the last 8 years. Because it not only does it let you determine what the actual stencil is, but it lets you pick a color, and when you pick white, you're using the raw color from the actual PNG file, which would in this case would be white. But I could pick a black color here, and I could paint black lines. I can't do that here. I actually have to go to Photoshop, open this image, turn it to black, and then bring it back in. But there is hopefully another method, and let's see what we can do. So I'm going to go ahead and I always think it's hold the B key here. So let's, this is awfully, I feel like this is awfully laggy, but I'm going to obviously overshoot the area that I want. Okay, just overshoot that by a significant amount. Here, let me turn off the pressure there. It feels really weird and kind of laggy. Can't like paint up here for some weird reason. I have to go past. Am I using lazy? I'm using lazy mouse like a dickhead. Okay, that's the problem. Alright, so my fault. Alright, so that's fine for now. Now again, I really would appreciate a blur tool, because it would just make this, I think, look better. But again, I'm going to probably replace this inside of Photoshop. I just need the template here is what I'm creating here. So I'll be able to line up a clean image, and I'll be able to make it so it's cuts instead of raised up inside of Photoshop. So again, let's go ahead and actually let's see if we can invert this right now, because we do have the ability to adjust the layers somehow. Now actually, you know what, it's an add a levels effect, and you can hit invert, invert, invert. And I'm not seeing any difference. Oh, you know what? Can it not? Oh wait, affect height. Derp. Was I not? Oh, normal. There we go. Okay, so it was because it was on a linear dodge. When I turned it to black, it basically disappeared. So as you can see, now it's dipping in. It's really not as deep as I would like, but that's, again, something I can adjust later on. What's important is that I have the lines themselves here such that I can, you know, use it later. So let's go ahead, and this time we're going to add a white mask because I just want to cut out areas. And I'm going to use black here. On my brush, I'm going to use a close to hardness, and I want to wipe out these lines here. Okay, the other thing I want to do is I'm going to hit 4 here, and I'm going to change this to black, and I'm going to use my mouse for this, but I want to wipe that face off. Nope, I want it by face, so get rid of that face, that face, that face. Let's go by object here, and we'll get rid of this entire object. There we go. Anything that maybe appeared on this, maybe anything that appeared on this. Okay, go back to faces here. Get rid of that and that. And let me see, how does this go? It pretty much, I can't do this by just a single face. They actually cross over these faces. So we'll go back to the one tool here to rule them all, and we want to cut it out right there. Now I actually want it to cross over this border there, and let me look at the gun. Yeah, no, it's pretty much good right there. Okay, so I like that. I like it all right. Now I want to create the 4 rear grips. Now let me see if I have an image to cover that. Let's go ahead and import an image, and let's go by name here. List. And actually let's just do details. F it. We'll go by name, and I thought I had lines, but it might be thin line. Can't remember what I called it. Thin ring, thick line. Unfortunately, I can't see a preview when it's on white. I really need some kind of PNG previewer for Windows. Horizontal line, single. Horizontal lines, blurry. Spacing. It's a heating element. Grill. The grill is close to what I want. Well, not that grill. Great dips would be pretty handy. There's my family crest. Kind of thinking one of these might be good, but it's a little thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create it here, and it's going to be really simple. Making sure it's on a new layer, and I'm just going to go like that. I'm just going to draw a line. The important thing, what I wanted is I wanted this round edge, so using a brush affords me that. Now this is going to poke out, so I want it to be white, so I'm going to hit the question mark key, which just locks the transparency. I'm going to go ahead and fill that with white, and I'm going to now save this, recent places, stencils. This is going to be thin line single, and I'm going to make it a PNG. Save that. Okay, we'll come back to Substance, and let's just type in thin. There we go, thin line single. We're going to open that guy up, and let's hit 3, and we come over here, and what we're going to pick is going to be our thin line single. Okay, now again, like I said, it makes it kind of difficult to tell where the hell the line is because of the fact that it is on transparency like so. So I can't really fully tell where it is. I think the problem is I need my mesh to be about here so I can see the entire length. Now let me see, how many do I have on the back of the gun? There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. Well, let me count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 10 of these, and they're not as spaced apart as I was initially anticipating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the normal horizontal lines. And actually, now that I think about it, I'm going to use the, oops, I did not want to export an image. I want to import an image. I am going to use horizontal lines blurry. Is that this one? Yeah, horizontal lines blurry. Okay. Now I want to do this, and if I hold shift I can snap it, which is very, very handy. And we'll go about there, and so that's the slide grip. I'm going to make a new layer. This is going to be called the rear grip lines. Lindsay? It's not Lindsay. The Lindsay Lohans. I don't want like disease all over my gun. Alright, let's again we'll do the projection brush. We're already using the horizontal lines blurry. Let's just see what we get here. That's pretty close to about what I want, but I'm using color instead of height, like a rockin' douche. So just throw that in there. See, this is where I kind of wish that I didn't lose this slider, because this slider allows me to determine whether or not I'm going to push down or make a peak or a valley, right? So I'd like a valley here, but I'd like to use this as just the stamp, but that's not what I get here, right? That isn't what I get. I'm going to have to invert this again. Now the other thing I want to do is on my brush, I always hit up here for some reason. Okay, I don't have any size or any kind of that kind of jittering. I want to use a full hardness on this guy, and what I want to do is I want to do this in one fell stroke without having to go over it again. And the reason for that is because if I had kept going over it and over it and over it again, it would have bled these, okay? It would have applied pixels where the pixels already are, and it would have just filled it in too much. So again, we're going to add a white mask. I'm going to hit 4. I'm going to knock by object, separated object. I'm going to knock the grips out. I'm going to get rid of that guy. Let's now go to faces, and let's knock off some of these faces here. You can actually make a drag selection, which is extremely nice. And I'm going to do that here, like so, on the side, just to make sure that nothing gets shown up there. Going to need to do that here as well. And I'm actually going to also pull one in here like that. One face in, so that it's roughly like that. Okay. So again, this is something that I can replace in Photoshop should I feel the need. Now what I want to do is, it actually cuts off about right here, and it's pretty much flat across. I kind of like the idea of a curve, but that's not as accurate. So let's hit 1 here. Again, we are editing the mask. We go to grayscale, no resource selected. What is going on? Alpha. This is not the first time that this has happened to me. What am I painting? Painting white. I'm not on this tool anymore. I'm on my paintbrush now. Oh wait, is it up here? No? Yeah, this has happened to me before too, and I don't really know what's going on, because it's like I'm expecting the grayscale slider, right? There we go. So I just had to add something and delete it. Okay, so that's weird. Now I want the hardness now to be 0, because what I want to attempt is kind of a fade across the top here. Like that. Because they do kind of fade out. And that doesn't feel too shabby. I know that it's got this extra piece right here, but I have a sneaking suspicion that when I go to try to paint that out, I'm gonna fuck it up. But let me see. See how careful I can be. Yeah, I've already effed it up. It's okay, I guess. But I'm going to replace these lines in Photoshop so that I can make sure that everything's clean. But so far so good, I think. Everything's working out alright. I don't have too much more to do, although, now that I think about it, like I have to also add it here. So let's go and hit 3, and let me see. What is... Oh, I can't do this on the mask. Okay, on the height, I keep holding B. Three. Okay, let's fix the brush. We want it hard all the way. Oh my captain. Okay, so then we're gonna make this bigger to encompass everything, and once again, this actually starts about right here, and I'm just gonna... What the fuck? I'm on color. Damn it. I'm still on the right tool, so let's get those horizontal lines blurry up in here again. Why is it only painting right there? Or what? And not up there? Oh, is this masked? Oh, it's masked. Wait, is it masked? It's masked. It's gotta be masked. Okay, so what I'm gonna do really quick is, using the paintbrush here with a relatively large brush, I'm just gonna go ahead and swash this part here with white. I should probably just do this on another layer, and it would give me the ability to get rid of that issue altogether, but obviously I'm here painting nothing, right? But I'm hoping that that's what's causing this problem here. So this is height, right? No, it keeps going back to color. Wait, 3, 3. Oh, I'm on the mask. I keep doing it. Okay, so yeah, I'm on height. There we go. Let's see now. There we go. See, you can see that if I keep applying it, I basically, because they're blurry, I fill it in entirely, and that's crap. So what I do want to do is go to the brush, and I want the spacing actually to be as low as possible here. And just go down one time. Okay, there we go. Alright, now back on the mask, we hit 4, and once again, oops, I gotta click this guy. Let's just do the whole object. Okay. Again, these are raised out, but I'm gonna end up making it so that they're pushed in. Do you ever have your shit pushed in? Okay, so then we're gonna do this here. I'm not gonna go forward with that joke. That was from training day. That's probably the one line that cracked me up the most. Alright, and now with a pretty large brush. This is actually quite, I'm going to say it's actually about where I have it. Here. Okay, once again this is acting stupid, so I have to apply something and then de-apply it. I just want to go straight across here, like so, to about there, and then let's hit 4, and then let's go by individual faces, and I want to knock out all of those, and honestly I kind of want to go in one further because it's pretty narrow, but it's not actually that narrow. I think right there is okay. Again, can be replaced later. So now I need some text here, and what does it say on the side of my pistola? It says, now I want to point out that I did buy this gun in whatever was 21 years after 1995, which is when they stopped. I think it was actually, I can't remember, don't quote me on this, but I think that it was 1 year after they stopped producing them in Italy. Because mine is Beretta USA Corp. Okay, a lot of people look down on that. I don't. A lot of people think that the original Italian versions were much better, but those people are full of shit, because I've had this thing for 20 odd years now and there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, so it says Beretta USA Corp, Maryland, made in the USA. It's also got a serial number on it. I'm not going to use my actual serial number so that people can't etch it into their guns and go kill people and then fucking get me thrown in prison. So it's model 92FS Cal 9mm Parabellum, patented. Warning, read manual for safe use. Free from Beretta USA. Okay, so I also need the Beretta logo on the middle of the grip. So let's go ahead, let's get that here. The Beretta logo appears right here. I do believe I have the Beretta logo. Dead. Derp, 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 derp. Did I put that like under 92FS logo? Is it logo Beretta? Did I lose my goddamn Beretta logo? What did I call it? Why wouldn't I have called it the Beretta logo? I got the Winchester logo. You can't see it here. I know it's frustrating. I've had the Beretta logo in this folder for I don't even know how many years. Maybe it's under stamps. Negative. Oh well, let's go get it again then, huh? Okay, so let's go to Google. Von Google. Google von Googlestein, and then we will type Beretta logo. Alright, so the logo that we want is this one here. Actually, we want this one here, and this one's a better quality. So let's go view image. Let's copy that. Go to Photoshop. Let's Control N, enter, Control V. Control I, because it does pop out. And the border's fine. The border is fine. But it has a little bit more border than that. So, image, canvas size. It's going to say 1024 by 1024. Okay, let's go Control 0 here. Let's turn our background to black completely. And let's see. Does that really feel like the center of the image? It doesn't feel too bad, but let's hit M and then Shift M to get the circular marquee tool. Let's see how well that lines up. That lines up pretty good. So I need to expand this to about right here. Okay. So I'm just going to make an extra layer for that really quick. Now let's make that white. I'm going to ditch the background, put this behind, go ahead and fill that and just make it black. basically I'm now going to use that to mask this out. And that's pretty close to what I want. Now the question is how's my quality, and do I want to do anything to this in terms of trying to make a good bump map out of it? So let me do this really quick. Let me grab the white elements and let's go by non-contiguous so that we get everything. Let's make a new layer out of that. Okay, so if we look at that, that's just that by itself, okay, by itself completely. We just selected it like so. We'll show this, and what we can do is if we double click this bastard, we can get now into some stuff where we can say an inner shadow with a distance of 0. And if we fiddle with the size and the choke, oh, look at that. We've got some problems. Okay, what was my... That was 10 and anti-aliasing. Let's go 32 with anti-aliasing, and let's pick this back up. And let's go ahead and fill that in. That cleans it up. Actually, let's fill that in one more time. There we go. Okay, so we fixed that. Just because my selection, this was a compressed JPEG, so the it missed a few of the little gray pixels. That's why I was getting that shit. So we'll come in here and inner shadow. We're actually going to, I think I'm gonna knock that down just a little bit like so. Got quite a bit of extra shit out here. That's just because of this layer here, which I should be hiding anyway. Okay, good. Let's do Control-Alt-0 so I can look at, actually, and then we'll come in to 200%. Whenever you zoom in Photoshop, you want to try to make sure that it's some value of 100%, 50%, 25%, 200%, 400%. Because if you do like 33%, it doesn't know how to bicubically display those pixels, okay? It doesn't know how to split a pixel into third, but it certainly knows how to cut them in half. Okay. The other thing we want is an inner glow. Set to black. And we want this to be precise. Okay, that gives us this cool effect here. So the larger we make this, the more we choke it, like Wayne Brady. Okay, we want something about like that. Now the smaller features are going to get lost. So what we want to do is just hold Control here, click that. Go M, and we'll hold Alt and Shift so that we intersect this, and then we're going to release Shift and Alt and press it again. And we're just going to make a copy of this by hitting Control J. Okay, and then what we can do here is we can scale the effects down so we don't lose it. About like there, 30%. Okay, I think that feels pretty good. I think that's going to give me a pretty decent bump map. Again, with the black being completely solid. So let's go ahead and try that. Let's logo bump, call it like that. We'll make it a JPEG. Not a JPEG, but a pinga. And we'll bring that in. Alright. So, let's come over here, activate my pen tablet, we'll make a new layer, we'll call this Beretta logo, and we hit 3, and we want it to be height, and we want to use the Beretta logo here like so. Okay, we need it to be like that, and we want it to be, let's hold Shift when we, let's hold Alt and start rotating the scene, and hold Shift so we get right on the side, and then let's take a look. It's pretty much directly behind this piece, and I'm going to say it's about that big right there. Okay. Now you'll notice that it's kind of blended in because the height here is set to linear dodge, but if we just set that to normal, you can see we get quite a very nice effect there, I think. And taking that extra moment to add that bit of detail in there helped define the form quite nicely, as you can see there. So if you take that moment to do that, it can work out pretty good. And it's not that we can't say, hey, this is a little too strong. Let's go ahead and say adjust the levels, and let's, I don't know which one of these I'm supposed to drag. Base color again, height. I really don't know which one of these I'm supposed to drag. I'll be honest. Okay, that's making it worse. Hey, that actually inverted it for freaking once. Okay, that strengthens it, and that reduces it. That strengthens it. Let's pull out some of the white. That reduces it. Okay. So it's pretty much the same as Photoshop. You just, these are the inputs, these are the outputs. So we can say, hey, we'll pull some more of that black in. So something about right there feels pretty good. Again, we can really wipe it down if we wanted to. But I don't want to just adjust the opacity, because then the diamond grip's going to start showing through. We really do need to adjust the colors on the levels. Okay. I'm missing a piece right there. Grip bump here. I need to make sure I get that out of there. And that's mirrored, so that should be pretty fine. Okay, so it looks good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add one of these bastards, a screw bolt. So we're going to come up here, and we're going to make a new layer, and we will call this screws. And this is the tool that we want, and we want it about it's not super huge, it's about that big, so all we got to do is just tap. Okay, and then we get another one that's pretty much about right here, so we tap. Now again, the height is set to linear dodge on these. As soon as I set that to normal, we get quite a nice screw there. Now I'm being a little lazy and inaccurate here, because these are actually flathead screws that are used on the weapon, not Phillips. But unfortunately, the only option we have is either screw or bolt, and bolt turns it into like a you can see that hexagonalizes the outer shape. Okay, screw makes it round, inner shape is screw and bolt, and the bolt basically turns it into an Allen wrench, an Allen bolt. We could add wearing to it, but we're not going to do that in this phase, obviously. We don't want to do that. Okay, so that's pretty good so far. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. This feels starting to feel pretty nice, I think, overall. I do need to get the text on here. I do need to add a few other little things. For instance, there's a ring right here, and I think I have that image. I thought I had a thin ring. So let's hit 3 again, and let's throw thin ring in there. And again, it's slightly difficult to see where this is. This might be too thin of a ring. It's really hard to see where that is. Maybe if I make my view bigger, that's easier to determine, I'd say. Let's go Alt and then hold Shift so that we're straight. And I don't know about right there. It's really difficult to determine where this is. Okay, that's about good. I put that on the screws like a dildo. So let's go ahead and undo that, and let's just call this like minor details. And let's just tap. Actually, let me make the brush match that size a little bit better. I can kind of see the ring there. It's quite visible. There we go. Okay. How close did I get that to the center? Not very close at all, did I? That's okay. And again, I have to use levels. Here, like so, to invert that like that. So no matter what I paint with white, this will dip in. So these are going to be minor dips like that. And that is pretty much what I got on the gun itself. Now I need text here, and I don't think I have that text, but I think at this point, guys, I'm gonna need to end this video because it's probably running on a couple of hours. For all I know, I've been in here for 15 hours. But so far so good, I think. We've got a pretty decent template for when we get this shit. Pretty easy fix to get this back. But nonetheless, I have to say shite. Shizer. Shizer Soze hit me. You never know when he's coming. Alright, so yeah, that was a okay fix there, except I do need to get rid of this there. Okay, the other thing that I might as well do while I'm here is on my base materials, on the plastic grip, I'm actually going to duplicate this layer, and I'm going to call this mag plastic, and I'm going to wipe that out. Okay, so we can see that that's gone. And now what I want to do is, I believe on the UVs here, I want to make, did I unmute my mic? Thank God. That would have been frustrating. Okay, this is where this gets a little difficult because I can't exactly see inside the model, and there's no real method for getting inside the model. It's one of the very, like I said, minor negatives about using this app. Yeah, that looks correct. I can see, I know probably you guys can't see it, but I can see the difference between silver and black right there. And I remember that I unwrapped this piece into three parts, the top, the bottom, and the sides, so that should be fine like that. And that is how it is. Okay, and then we can go ahead and show this. So far so pretty, I think. I feel like it looks pretty good. Again, we still haven't even gone in and added any details yet. We're just still determining, although obviously you can count bump maps as details, but in this case, I mean, we haven't added any wear, we haven't added any bleaching to it, or scuffs or scrapes or anything like that. But I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. Looking at my gun here, it's got just the absolute minimal wear on it. I mean, I can't even find a scratch, like an actual scratch or even a scuff. It's got some oil deposits up in the area right here in these grips. Let me just let me get off this friggin' tool and go to the brush here. Inside this area right here, in this grip there, I've got a couple of little oil deposits. Trust me, I've scrubbed it with the toothbrush, and it will not come off. But I any proud gun owner will clean their weapon systematically after firing, and also go in and clean it just once every 4 to 5 months it's been sat in storage and re-oil it and everything like that. So I do take care of my pistol. It is, in fact, I don't want to brag. It's not like I'm bragging about having a gun, right? And I'm not some kind of an idiot psychopath. But I do appreciate them as far as technology goes, craftsmanship, art, just the whole artisan factor of this thing. I mean, there's no way in hell that I could make something like this. No way in hell. You could give me 1,000 years, I could never do it by myself without any tools, you know. I wouldn't know where to get the materials. I wouldn't know how to make the shapes. I wouldn't know the mechanics of how it works. I could guess. I wouldn't know where to get the gunpowder. I wouldn't know how to. I wouldn't even know how to shape a fucking tube. I have no idea how to do that. I know you can use some kind of a lathe or something, but extrude something. I don't know. How would you do that using trees and rocks? You know, if you were thrust out into the middle of nowhere, could any of us make this, you know? So the technological marvel, you know, and man coming together to create something is awesome. Okay, yeah, it's a gun, it's used to kill people. No, the guns aren't, you know, I don't believe in that. I don't believe they're made to, I'm not going to get into that argument. I'm not going to get into the argument whether or not they're made to kill. I don't think they are. I think they're made so that they, you know, to do what they do, right? And you know what? Even if they are made to kill, go ahead and deny mankind, stupid. You know? Go ahead and deny that man has been fucking killing each other since they were fucking cavemen, throwing lion skulls at each other, dropping rocks off of cliffs on each other's heads, you know? It's just more efficient this way, I suppose. Okay, I don't want to get into the debate, and please don't get mad at me. I'm just kidding, to be honest. I'm just kidding. But I do own the weapon, and I love it. And I'm going to pour as much care into this thing as I possibly can. I want it to look as perfect as possible. So any of these weird little glitches and things like that, I am going to do everything I can to get rid of any of them. I hopefully can make it as flawless as possible within the realm of reason. Obviously, I don't want to spend 6 years on it. Obviously, actually, ultimately, this gun has taken me 6 years to make, but that's because I work on it off and on, and I don't really get the, you know, I don't spend as much time, you know, on doing it because it's not that big of a deal right now. But I do know that on UDK I couldn't get the look right on it unless I made it gunmetal black. I couldn't get the silver right. What I see here is just that silver is just, it's blowing my mind. I'm really pleased. And that's not even me. That's nothing to do with what I've made. That's just a really nice PBR material made by people way smarter than I am, right? So I'm just using it, and I'm really pleased with how that looks. That looks like identical to my friggin' gun. It really does. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, if I can get it to look like this inside of UE4 and not look all washed out and the wrong colors and stuff, I'll be even doubly pleased, if that makes sense. More pleased. But here inside of SubstancePainter, man, does it look pretty? Does that look pretty or what? Let's check out a couple of the other normal maps just while we're here. See that? The one from X, I don't know. I just don't think that came out as good. I really don't. It just got real bubbly. I lose a lot of the flat surfacing. The one baked from Mudbox's subdivision method works okay in some parts. Right here it looks actually quite nice. Looks quite good. But doesn't look so good like on this kind of detail here. It really doesn't. Overall, Max's bake came out overall covered the most different areas the best, I feel. And once I do dirty it up a little bit, because here's the thing, like, okay, you got to take into account, okay, my pistol, the one I'm sitting here, is very clean. It's always wrapped in a oil-free cloth, or, you know, an oil-absorbing cloth. It's in a case. It's a vacuum-sealed case. It's always got, you know, a lock on it and everything like that. It's very taken care of, but but for the most part it sits under my bed, you know, not doing anything, right? The one I'm making for a game is going to be exactly the opposite. It's going to be for a character who's had it in his holster the whole time, pulls it out, shoots it all the time, runs away from things with it in his hands, right? Falls, uses it to support himself, bangs it on walls, scratches it everywhere. I mean, it's in combat use for, like, it's hard to explain, like, that my characters, they're not super soldiers in like that they're Steve Rogers, you know, from Captain America. They're not like that. They're super soldiers in that they are like lifetime soldiers. So take any military person and put them in every single conflict, deployed to that at all times, at the front line, fighting at all times, every single day without any downtime. That's my characters in Rats. These guys fight every single day. So this gun's gonna have some ringers on it. It's gonna have scratches, dirt, grime. They're not gonna have a whole lot of time to sit there and kiss it, you know, and rub it down and slap it. They're not gonna do that. So it's gonna be worn to shit when I'm done with it. But that just has to fit the game. I also forgot to do the black on the grips. I mean on the sights here. So yeah, so far so good. I'm enjoying it. Hopefully you guys are too. I really love this program. If you have a chance to get Substance Painter, if you're gonna work in PBR, even if you're not gonna work in PBR, meaning you're still on UDK or you're on Unity or you're on you know, some other engine, or you're just doing this for 3D Studio, or you just want to have an art piece. Get this program, man. This is so good. Just the simple fact that I can say, hey, let me change my lighting environment, you know, in the ghetto. The ghetto. Dude, it changes the lighting on everything. You know? It does. It just changes the lighting on everything. It's so fun. And then I say, hey, I want to look at, you know, how does it look like, you know, outdoors, you know, we shoot out there in the distance. Is there a deer over there? Pew! I shoot the deer, and then you can do like this crazy studio lighting, you know, look at that. And it just works in all of these lighting conditions. It doesn't even matter really which one you pick, you know. Here's where I wouldn't want to see this happen, to be pointing at me like this, you know, in my home. This is not my home, by the way. This came with Substance Designer. I think this is one of their homes. What are they watching? What is that, a Wii? Is that a router? Let's judge these people. Look at this mess. Look at this mess over here. Big butt print stain over here. It's horrible. It's horrible. You should have never included this image. You should be ashamed of yourself. Just kidding. Here's another ghetto industrial thing, and just look at the lighting on this thing, man. It looks real practically. Now the one thing it doesn't have is shadows, but yeah, I do want to promote this program as much as I possibly can, like literally as much as I possibly can. It's so good. I've painted, I don't even know how many, I don't even know how much I've done. Look at this. These are all painted shits. And each one of these things has multiple items in them. I've been doing this for ages, and I have other folders where I've done this stuff too. It's just tons and tons of things that I've done. I haven't done as much in here inside of Substance Painter, but that I want to. But I'm going to use this from now on. But look at this side, you know, and then look at this side. It's just, oh, it's so pretty. It just looks like it's here in the scene. PBR is really awesome, and I hope to see it adopted everywhere. So, all right, I'm going to sign off, and then I think before I come back, I think I'm going to go ahead and fix the normal map and hopefully get the best of all worlds. I like, you know, you can see right here, it's got a glitch right there. If I just pick another normal map, I did not want to pick that one. Did I crash it? I can negate it some. Actually, that's part of the smoothing groups on the model, so I'm gonna need to check all that stuff and make sure again, I really don't want to have any of those issues arise as much as possible. So yeah, I think that's something on the model. If I hit 4 here, you can see there's a face right there that's causing that, I think. This is actually an old model of mine, by the way. While I did clean it up relatively recently, which was about 4 or 5 months ago, the model came from... I actually originally didn't even model it. I remodeled it, basically. I took another model and redid all of the topology on it and everything. And it's not perfect. I mean, obviously, it would look a lot better if it was super high res, you know? Like if I actually had it be a couple million polygons or something, then it would look perfect and fantastic and there would be no issues anywhere, but can't do that, right? So it's 5,000 polygons right now, 5,100 or something like that. So anyways, Hippo signing off. Thanks for watching.